And that's the process by which foie gras or fatty liver is made. Okay, so you don't get foie gras unless you force feed geese or ducks. And in fact, to do that, it's known as gavage in French. The process involves pumping corn mash into the gullets of geese and ducks, and that enlarges their livers and gives them what we would think of in a human as a disease, fatty liver disease. Animal rights groups denounce this process, although it's traditional, as gruesome and cruel, and they've called the dish, quote, torture in a tin. California actually banned foie gras in 2004, and that ruling was upheld by the Supreme Court in America in October after appeals by restaurant owners and producers of the stuff. So let's talk to Michael Peel. He's Australia's #1 goose breeder from Peel Ridge Stud. And I'd like to know if there is an ethical way to make foie gras. Hello, Michael.
Hello, John. How are you?
How many geese?
John, just before, can I get a quick ad in for my new business? Sitting here listening to all that lawnmower, mate.
Yeah, mate.
Geese are as much as one sheep. I can see a business there, mixed flick lawnmowers. So I could get over there, sort out that nature strip problem.
Is that right? The geese is a goose is not a bad lawnmower.
Oh, great, mate. 6 geese will eat as much as one sheep. And where else you get here? Ones will work day and night. They'll work during the day, at night time, in the rain.
Mate, I heard also that geese don't make bad alarms.
Oh, yeah, they can use them as a burglar alarm as well, especially if you've got a lot of whiskey about or something. Just a little flotation pond around the house so they can swim around and keep an eye on things.
So hang on.
Yeah, they use them overseas for guard dogs and things like that. They let out a warning when somebody's trying to break into the place or something.
So hang on a minute. All I've got to do to keep my place secure and also get the lawn mowed is run 6 geese around the joint, and I'll just say to the missus, hey, I'm going out the back to mow the lawn. I can take a couple of beers out the back and knock them back on a beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
And just the geese will do the work. And if
clamshell out there for the geese to have a bit of a swim when you're having a beer and just have a swim and then get back to work.
And if a bad man...
Most you start really taking an interest in them.
And if a bad man jumps the fence, they'll let me know.
Oh, I'll get him, yeah. I'll put him back over the fence.
All right, well, I'm not going to try and rob your place anytime soon, and I'm sure the lawn's tidy. How many geese have you got?
Oh, it fluctuates during the year, and I run a flock here of 150 or something breeders. It fluctuates. It depends. I'm only now sort of scaled right down from I used to do them commercially.
Yeah.
And but I concentrate. I've bred different colours in them and different breeds for the commercial market. I'm only now sort of breed to order, and people get them in small flocks, and they're going back to the old style a bit where they like to grow their own food, have something that they can look after themselves pretty well, geese, and they'll keep the lawn short, they fertilise it, and you don't cost a lot in feed. If you've got good grass like you, that thing, they can live on that with just a bit of supplement feed, and then if you want to sort of get them ready for Christmas, you just feed them, put extra feed out for them. And also people are growing them for a small restaurant market, which would be bigger, but there's no big producer in Australia of geese at this stage.
Isn't that amazing? So people are always talking about going back to nature in their backyards and keeping a couple of chooks. Is it maybe something to consider to have the geese instead? I mean, lay out for me the benefit of the goose over the chook.
Well, the benefit of the geese over the fowls is they're a lot tougher than the fowls. They can stand up and put up a bit of a fight, and they will protect the place.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a 20-minute digestion system, so the fertiliser goes onto the lawn fairly regular, so you don't have to fertilise your lawn.
Gee,
that's probably
mate,
a downside, the way you look at it. And yeah, they're not that noisy. If you want them to keep quiet during the night, the idea is just to feed them at night, give them their feed of a night, and they'll sleep like us if you feed them.
I'll tell you what, they're a bit of a compost accelerator, aren't they? 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it's the best fertiliser you can get. And also they'll walk around and do the whole lawn. And if they're not going far enough, just put the water down the other end. The way they do it in America, they take thousands of them down in semi-trailers, set up the water troughs in the paddock, and then they just have some people out there watching them. The geese graze during the day, and when you get them from a day old, they don't mind eating anything then, and they will eat the weeds, so they cultivate the land, and the geese will eat the new shoots of weeds coming up, so it saves them spraying the weeds, plus they're growing something for their market at the end when they finish growing, and then they plant their corn and stuff, when the geese have sort of finished their job. They've got to round them in of a night just to keep the coyotes and things away from them, keep an eye on them. They put big floodlights up, but during the day and that, or they can set up lights and let them work during the night if they're going to have people watching them, right?
There's a bit of a market for goose down. It's pretty special too, isn't it?
Yeah, they make some of the best eider downs about. Yeah, a lot of your eider downs are made out of that. I mean, the real special ones from the eider duck, but that's very expensive to get. I think they're over in the Falklands, those ones, but the geese that mainly make up a lot of that. They got very good down underneath that real fluffy feather, and they make the big doonas and things like that.
And mate, how are the eggs? I'm not talking about the golden ones. I've always wanted to
I always like to get those golden ones early because the wife tries to get them, but I get out and get the golden ones. No, the eggs are good, and what happens, the eggs are great, you know, like one goose egg's equal to about two to three hen eggs, good for cake making, omelettes and things like that. You normally wouldn't eat it, you know, fry it and eat it, but some people, you know, do, but most people will make it into an omelette, scrambled egg, and things like that. But then the other thing is if you blow them, I mean, they use them for that, is it decoupage, they decorate the eggs, paint them and put clocks in them and things like that.
Yeah,
There's a market for the eggs as well.
Now, let's just back up a sec. You said you normally wouldn't just put them in a pan and fry them. Why not?
The eggs, like just in a pan. Well, only because it's such a big egg, and most people then, because they're like those bigger eggs, they're a little bit stronger than hen eggs, because, well, you're eating really nearly 3 hen eggs in one go too, so I suppose it's how big you are whether you want to eat one.
Yeah, right, okay.
I mean, it's a bit like an ostrich egg, it's sort of equal to 12 hen eggs and that, so it's just, but if you make it into scrambled egg and omelettes, but you can eat them, you can fry them and eat them.
All right, now how many geese would I need for my backyard?
How big's your backyard?
Oh, well, Sydney backyard.
Well, you work it out like how many sheep to the acre in your area, and then you work out how many acres you've got. So if you haven't got very many acres, 6 geese eat roughly about as much as 1 sheep. So if you're in an area where you can get 5 sheep to the acre, well, then you'd work it out. But if you can only get 1 sheep to the acre, well, then 6 geese. And so you've just got a little backyard. And they do the edges too. But the whippersnappers, the darn whippersnapper, the one that starts out with the petrol and things, and the choke, and the hornets bloody building their nest in it and things like that, you just, yeah, they do all the edges for you.
Is there anything a goose can't do, I have to ask? That's brilliant. They do the edges as well, no more heads.
Mate, they do a better job than what you do with a whippersnapper. I love it.
Okay, so let's get to the serious end of the business here. You know a little bit about foie gras, you know.
Well, I did look into it because when I was commercial, and that was a fair while back now, I had, you know, when I used to do them commercially, and anything that's worth a lot of money you look into, when I looked at it, well, we wouldn't accept that in Australia, and there was already a tradition over there in France, or whatever you call it there. They actually had a hole in the ground where they put the geese down and with boards along the top, and they just pull the goose's neck up and then force feed it this corn mixture, which, you know, you're pretty accurate with what you said.
Sounds pretty gruesome.
But I only just joined an Indian runner duck society overseas. The Ashtons have come out here judging, and she's they've got something going on over there now. I know why you're talking about it, and I just watched a video on it. So they not only use geese, they're actually using a Muscovy cross or Muscovy cross duck as well.
Yeah, right.
And they got it all organised on wheels and mechanical things that go along, and obviously it's got air pressure behind it that forces the feed through it. But it wouldn't be acceptable at all in Australia, and it's never been in Australia. We're pretty animal conscious here. I'm not saying they're not over there with animals and that. They're probably, it's in their culture and they've always done it, but we're very careful with our animals in Australia, and we enjoy having our animals because they look good and wandering around, and we enjoy to see them happy. But like anything, you do have to cull. You just can't keep everything. You know, if you keep every cat you bred or something like that,
sure,
you just get overrun with everything. And you know, there's pet markets for those sorts of things. But when you're breeding a commercial product, you just got to be realistic about things.
Now, someone's had a gut full of mowing the lawn, mate, and they want to get a couple of geese or even half a dozen.
And I mean, just ring Nick Slick Chick mowers or something, and I'll bring the trailer over, drop it on the front strip there. But yeah, they want to get a couple of geese, and the kids like them, and they can get them as pets, and they quieten down pretty quick. I mean, if you can get them at day old, which a lot of people don't sell them at day old, they actually bond in the first day like a dog.
Yeah, right.
That can be good, but it can also be a nuisance. Because if you've got a fear of geese or something, when you bond them, that gosling or geese grow up not fearing humans.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're the best burglar alarms, and that, they just don't back off. But if you get them a bit older, they tend, and they, you know, when the kiddies are a bit nervous, they're better. They don't get as aggressive as if you get one from day old. And if you've got a nervous kiddie and that, you know, when the breeding season comes around, they might sort of, they've got no fear of anything.
So where do you get one from, mate?
Oh, well, you better ring me. They advertise on Gumtree and things like that. People sometimes... I don't sell day-old goslings, I rear mine up. Because I breed a stud bird and good quality ones, I mainly cater for a market that wants to breed good quality stud birds and improve their breeding stock for getting bigger birds and bigger size. Just to give you an idea before I go back to the goslings, is that the new line of geese, those white Toulouse I bred, I dress them out at 7 points. They dress out about 7 points 7 to 8.8 kilos, and at $25 a kilo, I mean, they work out pretty well. And if you're going to, you know, then they put their mark up on top of that sort of thing if they go down, say, to David Jones. I'm not sure what they're charging these days.
Sure.
But what was the question about the gosling, where you get them from? Or
Yeah, can people get them from you or what?
No, I don't sell day-old goslings, but on Gumtree, those things, that internet things they've got now, they've got a thing called Gumtree or Farm Stock, and people advertise on there in the land newspaper under poultry. And you'll only get them certain times of the year, between about August and now. They're pretty well finished. The breeding, they only have a short breeding season, the geese. They still stick to their breeding season until overseas they've got commercial ones that breed all year round. So you start looking around that July and keep an eye on those things, and you'll see day-old goslings or week-old goslings for sale from time to time on there. And that's
how much, mate?
Oh, well, just the normal farm type geese, and they'll pick them up for, say, anywhere between $25 and $50 at Gosling.
Mate, that's fantastic. When you
they
think...
make a good pet. They're good pets, and you can get one or two or something. And then if they're wanting stud stock, well, that moves up, you know, on the better ones like these greys to sell for $300 or $400 each, and then the real good ones get up into bigger money.
So you're telling me that when your mower lunches itself, you know, you go and start it and it just makes a horrible noise and it won't work anymore, that I could go and get a couple of geese for $100. Jamie wants to do this, one of the producers out there through the glass there. He's going to be knocking your door down.
Right, great idea, and as long as you know, people's dogs can't get in the yard and worry your geese, and those dogs, you know, that doesn't make real good fertiliser on the end of your shoe sort of thing.
No,
But because the geese are 75% moisture and that, mate, it just fits into the lawn, you wouldn't know it was there.
Oh, mate, you've educated me on the virtues of the goose. I had no idea. I previously only used the term goose as a derogatory sort of slur, mate.
Oh, they're a handy bird. There.
Mate, thanks for your time.
Great to try. And people shouldn't worry about that in Australia. We don't do that geese, pate here in Australia and that. And I think it will disappear eventually.
Good to know, Michael. Thanks for your time, mate.
Okay, thanks.
All the best. Take care of yourself. That is Michael Peel. He's Australia's #1 goose breeder from Peel Ridge Stud, and we don't do the foie gras thing here, which is absolutely fantastic. I think that, you know, if you want the foie gras, you got to force feed the goose. That's the only way they make it. We just took a call off air from an importer who basically wanted to make that point. Couldn't come to the phone driving, but said, you know, if you want the foie gras, you got to force feed the animal. So there you go. Hello, Peter.